Hi everyone, it's Ketan Makwana here. I hope you're well from Enterprise Lab. So it's one of the more later in the evening League of Disruptor shows. The reason being is because our next expert that's joining me today is actually from Brisbane, Australia. I've got Jos with me. Jos, I always have an issue pronouncing your surname, so I'll let you do it. It's so simple, and I've actually misspelt it so many times as well. So I'm going to let you do that in a second, basically. But tonight's session, we're going to be talking about insights, strategies, and creating high-impact campaigns. You can see from the bio that I put up about Jos, he's worked with Fortune 500 companies. He specialises in working with entrepreneurs to develop high-impact promotions and campaigns. I'm sure this is all to do digital and offline as well. So without further ado, Jos, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Jos Aguiar, and I'm really excited.
Pronounce your surname again. How does it go?
Aguiar, it's like
Aguiar. Aguiar. Right, I'm game. See, I'm like Aguiar.
Aguiar. Is it the program?
Jaguar, Aguiar. Let's spend the next 15 minutes just pronouncing your surname, shall we? No. Listen, Jos. Thanks for. What was it, about 7 o'clock in the morning over there right now? I mean, talk about dedication to come online. So there's going to be probably a group of people or loads of people at the moment watching either I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here over here, or they'll be watching The Apprentice. But we're going to go online and we're going to start talking about some cool shit. So, Jos, do you want to tell everyone more about yourself?
Okay, so the short and sweet of it is I work with entrepreneurs and consultants as a strategic marketing partner. So what that means in plain English is I help them come up with marketing ideas and strategies that will get them the most results in the fastest time possible.
I like that. Results in the fastest time possible. I think they're the right kind of words for the market. So obviously you're on the right track. If you're helping other people achieve their results, you're using the right terminology yourself anyway to attract through. So tell me, Jos, before we go into what you do today, what's your background? How did you get to where you are today?
Wow, that's a big story. Okay, I come from a direct sales background, so face-to-face, person-to-person, all the fun stuff that I think, honestly, any entrepreneur, any really good copywriter I've worked with has had some sort of face-to-face experience. I think in order for you to really understand how people work, how people tick, you need to have that interaction where you can really look at someone in the eye and say, understand what's going through their mind before you can start trying to do this leverage online thing. It's just part of a natural progression, at least in my mind.
No, I get you, I feel that. And sort of, what is it about the industry and what you're doing that kind of drove you to it? What do you love about what you do and stuff like that?
I don't really think it's an industry. We talk about the marketing online space industry, but we're not an industry. We're lots of separate different people doing our own things. But if you talk about what I love about working with people is you can see the growth right in front of you and really fast. There's something exciting about working with entrepreneurs who are fired up about what they're doing, and you can see them grow not only as in terms of business but their personal growth, because you'll see someone who goes from doing okay to doing really well, and the shift that happens with them as a person is huge. Like, I don't even know how to explain that in words, but it's just a monumental shift in there.
You can feel it though, can't you? It's more than kind of explaining. You can feel the energy, you can feel the shift that they're going through. You can actually see, I suppose what you're trying to say here is you can also probably see them kind of acknowledging it or getting it and moving forward with it as it progresses. And is that one of the kind of drivers to why you do what you do? Is it, is this the, apart from the natural fact of you probably love strategy and stuff like love working in that kind of environment space, is seeing that development in people as much as their opportunities
very
in
much
businesses?
so.
Brilliant.
Very much so. I think that's the more exciting than the business itself, is seeing people grow. And I think a friend of mine said this to me recently. He's done a lot of business stuff. Like, at this point in my career, I don't build companies anymore. I build CEOs. So he's obviously a little bit more advanced than I am, but you can see that progression there, that it's not so much about the business itself, which the business is a byproduct of the people that you're working with and the people that you're helping and all that kind of all the personal growth that goes along with it.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, with what you do now, you know, I mean, obviously, we've labelled this this live insight strategies and high impact campaigns. Let's start with insights. You know, I have this thing here where I say to people, if you can't see the problem, you can't solve the problem. You know, and often enough, it is a very perceptional thing. What is it that you undertake in a process to actually identify, I wouldn't say problems, but produce those insights in the first place? I mean, is there a sort of, is it an off the roll standard process, or you know, what are the things that you do that kind of unearth these insights?
So I guess there's two ways of doing it. If someone just comes to me for on the par advice, I can generally see things because I've done it so many times for others and for ourselves. But if you're talking about a process, I do have a 5-step process that we use to, I guess, take people from research through to actual execution and scaling of their marketing campaign. So step 1, we start the research process. So that's understanding the market, the product, the problems that the product or service solves, and a little bit more about the market conditions. So you need to have intimate knowledge of your market. I mean, every copywriter, every person who's in marketing will stress the importance of research, because without knowing what you have to work with and what the issues you're facing and what the problems you solve are, it doesn't matter how much money you spend, how good your marketing ideas are, it'll fall flat without the research.
Okay, I mean, look, there's research and then there's research, right? I mean, what is right research and what is wrong research? You know, you can go to Wikipedia or you can go to Google and do research, or you can go to get a Mintel report on something. Define research for me, because I think it's a bit of a minefield.
And this is something I've come up with too as well. Like, a lot of people say, just read everything about a industry, read everything about the product, service. And whilst I agree you need to know as much as you possibly can, I tend to stick down to about eight major questions. So who are you dealing with? What problem does your product does your product or service solve? How the market perceives you. Okay. Those are basically my 8 questions around that kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, I mean. There's a part of something that I sort of engage and teach into my clients or in my environment when I'm actually working with people on insights, and this is all about the first 2 steps of design thinking, which are discovery and definition. So it's one thing that I'm quite passionate about, the fact that people should really understand the problems. I think there isn't enough problem diagnostics done. You know, what is the actual problem that you're solving? You know, do you really know the real problem you're solving? What's the root of that problem? Yeah. And the other question I ask, and I'm just wondering what your opinion on this is what's the problems you're creating with your solution?
Okay, when you say problems you're creating with your solution, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, who's interviewing who? No, that's fine. What do I mean here? So look, let me give you an example about this, okay? And I'll probably get shot down for it, but who cares anyway? Toms, you've heard of Toms, the shoes?
I haven't.
Yeah, so Toms is
I think so.
They do. Toms actually provide. They produce some really cool shoes, and they have this whole strategy about them, which talks about every time you buy a pair of Toms, they give a pair of Toms to someone who hasn't got shoes somewhere around the world. So it's kind of a social thing that they were building and are driving, and they got this real thing, real push about it. And these shoes aren't that cheap. They'll cost you about 60-70 Australian dollars, or roughly about that in terms of. But there's supposed to be this do good feel about it, the fact that I bought a pair of shoes, I like the look of them, I love the feel of them, I'm going to wear them all the time, and not only that, some poor person somewhere hasn't got, who hasn't got a pair of shoes is going to get a pair of shoes. But I've asked the question out to people that have a pair of Toms, and I've said to them, look, did you ever receive a letter from Toms to say that, here's a picture of Pedro, in Argentina, and here's a pair of shoes that we gave him? And they go, no, we kind of assume that really gets done. There's normally a tag in the bag with your shoes to say that because you bought these pair of shoes, someone else will get a pair of shoes. Now, I'm going around beating around the bush, but my point is going to come out very, very shortly. Now, the issue you have with this is Pedro comes in from a village where there is a shoemaker in that village. Okay, and ultimately, what happens is the shoemaker is the person that makes the shoes or repairs the shoes for everyone in that village. All of a sudden, Toms turn up with these flashy new, really high, classy, clean, brand new, sparkling shoes, and they're given for free to the villager. Why on earth would you go back to the village shoemaker to get a tatty second pair, roughed up pair of shoes when you can get one for free from Toms? So my point being is that, the argument I've had with the whole Tom strategy was, yes, you created a solution, you're trying to solve a problem with what you're trying to do, whether it's from a social impact base, but actually their very charity, the very social impact that they're actually doing is killing a local economy. It's taking someone's job. Wouldn't it be better to provide the raw materials and let the shoemaker make and then create an income off it, which allows to support the ecosystem, even if it's that much smaller? So when I talk about problem diagnostics and understanding what problems your own product or service could bring, that's what I mean by that. Have you had any experience of looking at things like that at all?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. You're talking about social goodwill and a much larger issue there.
But it does signify, the reason I say this to you, because you work with consultants, you work with coaches, you work with performance companies, all these different types of genres of people that are in the market servicing. Sometimes it's, what is the percentage of your client base that's product, and what is the percentage that's service?
It's fairly even mixed, to be honest.
Okay. Exactly. So with the service orientation of it, a lot of the time it could be either accountants, or it could be lawyers, or it could be, as I say, coaches and stuff like this. Sometimes I often feel that it's not an ethical code, but sometimes I just think the mission, the vision, the structure, their infrastructure, the strategies, their approach, and actually the work they actually do creates more problems than it actually solves. I mean, a lot of my client bases are people that have actually had very bad experiences with others, and then they come to me to remedy them in that respect. So I'm not trying to count myself out of work in that respect, but it's more of a situation of why I'm kind of pulling on this a little bit is just this insight piece, because I know you talked about having the definition of understanding what your product or service does and what problem does it solve, where it sits in the market, who your customer is. But sometimes I think that, when we talk about the way we communicate and engage with our audiences, there is this whole percentage of, I kind of estimate 40% of any sort of industry market that you're approaching need educating in this respect. And I think that part of the work that you would do would mean that, your insight would be leaning into finding where problems are in that kind of service industry, which your client can then actually, I wouldn't say monopolize or manipulate, but it's kind of exercise their communication strategy through. What's your thoughts on those?
Okay, so you're talking about two different things here.
Yeah.
One you're saying the extra problems your product service creates by executing, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So in case of Tom's, that they're attempting to do goodwill, and they are causing some things, but there are side issues of that. I'm sure in a way that even if they are bringing in new shoes, they're also eventually going to be creating new business out of that as well. My assumption, may be wrong, I don't have data to support that. On the other side, there's the marketing side, where we actually look at what the prospect sees and what they perceive and everything.
Yeah.
So to the prospect, they're not seeing it as, oh, Tom's going to create a problem here by bringing shoes into an economy that isn't really ready for it. It's like, it's almost like when the Westerners populated indigenous communities. They thought they were liberating. They thought they were giving them all this Western culture, but the guys were happy. The Indians knew what they were doing.
No, I understand that. I understand that point. And the reason why I bring this up, and you kind of like think to yourself, where the hell are you going with these kind of tangents, really, is the way Tom's is presented in terms of its insight, the way it communicates to its market. It's the social factor is secondary. It's always been about the style of the shoe in that respect. In fact, if you research and investigate Tom's now, they're more looking at coffee shops now. They're trying to bring organic coffee into the space now. So there's the Tom's Cafe that's available as well. And I'm only using Tom's as an example, just to sort of bring up to the case.
Sorry, Tom, if you guys are listening.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Look, they know I do this on talks when I'm being filmed as well. They go, every time he's going to pick this one basically. But my point being here is, when you work with clients, you want to produce high impact, result orientated campaigns, right? So I suppose, where does problem diagnostics sit in the first part of your insight stuff? I mean, how much does it weigh in terms of the importance of really understanding the problems that they're solving? But as I say, the question I'm asking you is, during this journey, do you uncover problems that they're also creating?
We didn't cover objections. We can cover objections and potential objections. Mm-hmm. And then when you actually get to using your info, you can either cover it or bring to light certain aspects of your thing. Like if your product has issues, there is a way you can just spin it to actually be a benefit. Like antiques, you can say well used, loved, etc.
Okay.
Is a different. It's matter of perception and people you're marketing towards.
Okay, so let's move on to perceptions then. Actually, quite. I mean, this is the very thing. You say tomato, I say tomato. Perceptions rule behaviors. Behaviors dictate sort of attitudes, and attitudes influence your actions. When you're looking at building strategies, and I'm moving more out of insights in towards strategies, what's the steps that you're taking there to sort of, when you've got a customer here in base, you want to produce a high impact campaign for them. Do you what do you look to do? Do you look to narrow down the focus and create a streamline or laser point of communication, or do you produce a sort of a succession of campaigns?
Generally speaking, you've got your core offer, but again, that we've kind of skipped over here. So again, you start with research. You understand. I'll go through the exact steps right now, so we've got the clarity. Who are you selling to?
Yeah.
What are you selling?
I'm going to write them in here.
The problems your product or service solves. The actual benefits of your product or service. The features. So benefits and features are two very different things, because benefits are more emotionally triggered, so we can actually look at how it benefits the person. So tangible and intangible benefits that they get from using your product or service. Features is just the feature set. So I've got a black pen. That's a feature. It's not a benefit. I've got a black pen which makes me feel really good and it's really classy, etc. That's more benefit. Then knowing the objection. So if you can understand why people wouldn't buy your product or service before they think it themselves, and you answer that within your marketing copy, you're well ahead of your competitors. You're well ahead in your space.
Okay. Knowing your just to cut you there. Knowing your objections. How do you get to know your objections? Because I mean, this is something that I think even I agree with. You've got to know where people are going to come up against you or question the integrity or the value, or be able to sort of hold up and say yes, but it's what processes does one have to undertake to understand objections?
There's a few different methods of getting to these answers. So you got the logical process of just sitting down by yourself, getting the old school pen and paper out, writing it out. So what could it be? Thinking logical. So if you're a coach or something, it's very much a trust-based thing. So they don't trust you. Okay, so why would they not trust you? How can you solve that objection. Okay, or even just even by calling things out and just saying, look, I understand you might not trust me yet. Just literally just say, this is what the issue is. Acknowledge that person might have an issue. That's sometimes enough to solve it. Like, hey, I get it. You might not trust me yet.
So it's kind of using the transparency and the sort of open honesty of, look, I know where you are. I'm not going to try and pull wool over your eyes and try to make you think in a particular way. Do you think there is a lot of the sort of testing and the validation part of it needs to come into this? Because so it could be that as you start to, because I know you were going to talk about proof of concepts and stuff like that in a second, but when you're in this kind of objection handling, do you try and get your clients to look at their own businesses as if they were customers to their own business? So
you should always look at your business like your customer to your own business.
But I don't think I don't think that happens, though. That's my problem. That's my point.
It doesn't happen. Most business owners are just hanging out and hoping for the best.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Like I said before, business and entrepreneurship is very much a journey of self-discovery and knowing yourself, but that requires a lot of deep work.
I like
that's
that.
Where we get deep.
I really like that. I like that point. I mean, I've had conversations this week with other experts that have come on where I've talked about this whole, do you really, would you buy your own product or service in that respect? Do you really look at it, your business as from a consumer perspective? And it's interesting that it's a behavior that once you become a business owner, you almost kind of go into this mode where you think you know more, or you have to dictate the way in which a consumer buys your product. I think that's a false economy. What do you think?
I believe to a degree you need to give your prospects, your customers, the confidence you can deliver a service for them efficiently, but that only comes from having done it numerous times.
Yeah.
I also believe at the same time you should never pull the wool over your customers' eye. You should never mislead them. But customers and prospects, they're just people. I think some people try to separate themselves from the business and the humanity out of them. Like, no, calm down, have a conversation with this person. And often you'll find that, especially in my space, there's reasons why people do things. Or reasons why people say they're doing things, reasons why people say they don't or do want to take action, or the base responses they give you. Like, okay, you talk to someone initially, no one expects you to go in depth, like, tell me about you, tell me why you're in business, tell me what drives you. Especially with, like, in my business, I physically can't work with everyone I'd want to work with. Purely because of time and brain energy. Like, it's
mind-numbing.
No, not mind-numbing. Like, it's just not enough hours in the day. Like,
true.
I can only work in depth with so many people on a one-time basis.
No, I understand that. So when you're looking at high-impact strategies and campaigns, one of the things that I've recently been sort of touched on, I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk and one of his amazing videos that he always does, and he's talking about how the television has now become our radio, and the fact that your smartphone is now your new TV, and things like Facebook and YouTube are all your different channels and platforms now. Does a lot of your work surround using social media and digital technology to produce high impact campaigns?
My primary channel is Facebook advertising, purely because I've got all the data there to me, and it's something that I'm very comfortable with. That being said, if you're trying to market to Nana down the road and she hasn't used Facebook, she hasn't got a mobile phone, you're not going to use Facebook. Use something that she uses. It might even be the local circulation of papers, but again, everything comes down to that research phase where You know who your customers are, you know where they hang out, you know what they read, what they think about, what's important to them. And that really dictates what you can do and what you should do with your marketing.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, understanding your customer and their behavior will obviously dictate what sort of medium and platform you would use to market to them. What about analysis paralysis and stuff like this? I mean, naturally, what do you start a campaign, you start to, what are the...
Data speak.
Well, yeah,
Let the data speak.
we say that, but actually, I can guarantee there's probably people in the audience saying, I don't even know how to read data. What does it mean? I mean, the data for some people, I mean, take me as an example, 2-3 years ago, if you said, let the data speak, I'm like, okay, so what, names and emails? What am I talking about? I mean, there are so many different layers of data that you can go with, and data is such a valuable asset these days, in terms it's worth more than money. What are simple measures? I mean, for any of our sort of listeners and viewers out there, what sort of program and process of measurement tools would you recommend to them?
Really got to start off with what you're trying to achieve. So if the goal is sales and that's all you really want, that's your ultimate goal, like, you've got to keep an eye on, is this campaign making sales for me? Are the sales profitable, or will they be profitable in the future? So you look at lifetime value of your customers as well.
Okay.
If you're going more granular, you break each step down. So what needs to occur for this step to be a success? What needs to occur for this next step to be a success? How do we actually take that customer from the path of being a cold prospect or someone who barely knows you to actually spending their hard-earned cash with you?
Okay.
So
if we were looking at this from a certain extent, a COA, the cost acquisitions.
CP.
So what we're talking about here is about, how would you build a process whereby you can then show a client, one of your clients to say, in order for you to acquire this consumer at this price, you need to invest this much into marketing to them? Because I think some of the data sets that are used in even smaller businesses today is what's the cost of acquisition strategy, and what is the overall cost to acquire. Sometimes people get lost in the terminology. Could you break that down for some of our guys?
Okay. Again, it depends on your channels with everything, but you look at big picture view. Okay, break it down into the steps that need to occur and the conversion rates you're expecting or traditionally have received in that industry. That's the easiest way to get best case scenarios. Sorry, I'd go for worst case scenarios and see whether numbers are still feasible. Okay, so from a phone, if we're talking about businesses that do a consult first or a pitch or something like that, you look at how many people do you need to speak to in order to get a sale. If say it's 4, that's a 25% conversion rate there. How many people need to book? How many people need to get to the booking page in order to book a conversation? Say it's 50% there. So you've gone from 4 people up to 8 people that need to hit the page. So then you look at how many people need to hit your landing page before they get to the booking page. Let's say 25% of people convert there. So 8 times 4 again, 8, 16, 16 times 2. I'm blind blanking right now.
32.
32 people in order to get one sale. And let's say you're paying $1 per click for people to get to that landing page. You're spending $32 to get a return of whatever your sale's worth to you.
Okay, so and this is what I'm. The reason I take you to go through that process is because I don't think people sometimes underestimate things like how Facebook advertising, for example, works, or the fact of where you invest into the sort of cost acquisition. So it's not like, oh, I pay $1 and I'm going to get a client. You're actually working through those metrics. It could be anything up to $32 before you get. It's not the acquisition of the client as a lead. It's when they turn into an actual client, which is someone that's giving you money for the service or product that you're marketing. Correct?
Well, you need to understand your business numbers. What forms the lifeline of business, and what works for one business may not work for the other. Like someone who's a more experienced business owner or experienced in sales will have a higher conversion rate on lead to sale. so they can afford to spend a little more to get traffic through. Whereas someone who is just starting out, they're only closing 1 in 10 leads because they haven't got their sales process down. They haven't got a high enough value proposition, or for whatever reason, it's going to be a lot harder for them to make paid traffic profitable.
Well, the reason I ask you these questions is because here in the UK, we have an abundance of early stage businesses. We have a lot of service orientated business, especially within the industries that I kind of work with. I work more with service than I do with products. So I would say it's probably, for me, it's about an 80-20 split. I find products a lot easier to work with. Services are more, they're less tangible, so they're harder to sell. You've got to productize. But you see that a lot of people are.
Yes, no, it still comes down to motivational factors.
It does. You're right. You're right. It does come to motivational factors, but you still do need to put a sense of productization into it to give it its feel. I mean, if you talked about features and benefits, okay, and the features being what it is, and then the benefits is what it does to you. I'm kind of driven more by the value propositions of it, which allow the features and benefits to be described in what you're going to look, feel.
That's where you work in your offer and what your USP is, but you can't really develop a USP until you know the rest of your stuff.
Precisely. I mean, you've got to do fab before you can get to value, and I get that. Yeah. But it's kind of converting and translating that language into a digital format. I know that a lot of the audiences here don't really market their products to 90-year-old women, and so if they were, I reckon they will be going for a newspaper circulation in that respect. But if you look at a median age of between 18 and 55 or 60, with the latter part of that group now more Facebookers, and the earlier stage of the group more Snapchatters, there are what are the components that
I disagree with that.
Really?
It depends on your market. Like, if you're talking about the latter half, I'm technically should be a Snapchat. I'm not. I don't get on Snapchat and do the whole thing. But
no, if you're marketing to that group, that's what I'm trying to say. If you're trying to accumulate
that group is that's really wide set though. If you're talking about broad market appeal, yes. Mm-hmm. But you need to get deeper than that to if you really got a specialized product service. Like, tell me more about that person. Are they someone who hangs on Snapchat all the time, or are they someone who prefers communication via Twitter? It's a very different audience, and the way that they think is very different.
Okay.
So the messaging that works to someone on Snapchat is not going to work to someone who works mostly on Twitter.
And that's the same for people that go from Twitter to Facebook as well, I guess.
Correct. Same thing.
So here and again, we're talking about consumer behavior and what they're like. So are you trying to, if we were to, let's say, produce a 4-stranded strategy for digital, where we did want to engage Snapchat, we want to engage Facebook, we want to engage Twitter, we want to engage, I don't know, Pinterest, for example, you're creating 4 micro strategies to produce high impact, because you're going to talk and engage in different ways, do you think?
You'd have to meet them where they're at, on the platform they're on currently. Mm-hmm. But you've also looked at the message that needs to be portrayed. Are you needing a separate offer? I don't know, because I need to know whether these are different markets or these are the same people that are omni-channel. Like, some industries, you have social media people who are all over the place, but that's just part of who they are. Whereas other industries, you're technically marketing the same product or service to different sub-markets.
Okay.
So you may actually need a different offer in order to entice them into it.
Okay, and when you're talking about different offers and stuff like that, does that kind of facilitate things like lead magnets or things like that which are usually used to entice people to give you data so you can start talking to them?
Again, it's whatever's the easiest path to the sale. If a lead magnet takes them to it, and they're needing that extra trust element before they can commit to a sale, yes. If it's a market that has a deep desire, a deep need for an immediate satisfaction, go straight to the sale. Like, there's no point stuffing around if they already want it.
That's interesting. So, with your sharp eye and your experiences at looking at markets and strategies, are there many pools like that? I mean, obviously it depends on the type of product or service, but do you often find that there are pockets of markets that are just needy of things almost instantly? Because sometimes I could look at that and think, well, okay,
put it this way. Yeah. You want a plumber to come to your house, yeah?
Yeah.
your pipes are busted, do you ask them for a lead magnet, or do you ask them to come fix my bloody drains?
Yeah, no, I understand. That's a very good. That's a good one. Actually, yeah. Can you send me a lead magnet and I'll consider you? No, I get that. I get your point.
Yeah.
There are going to be
urgency.
Okay, but then again, it's kind of a situation of we've become more of as a consumer, we become more and more fickle because we go through things like trusted trader and stuff like this. We want to make sure they're vetted, they've got their corgi registrations and all these kind of accreditations.
It needs the urgency. It's if you've got a busted drain and it's pouring out all over your living room floor, you want them now. You don't care.
But
you don't really. Everything else goes out of play.
Out of play, right?
In a normal situation, yes, you want to have trust factors involved. You want to make sure that they have some degree of credibility. But again, if you're searching for a plumber, you either if it's urgent, you'll generally
just go
Google it. Google still is the most direct kind of form.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that you've got a bit of time up your hands, people will generally trust recommendations from their friends. So you look at stuff online. Then you're talking about other stuff which isn't necessarily marketing related per se, but you've got to look at the trust factors. Do you have good reviews? Is your web presence good? Do you look professional? Do you convey the image that your customers want to see when they're checking you out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it all comes into play. But if you're talking about specific marketing campaigns, it's a different story. But you've still got to have that all in line with everything else, because the best marketing campaign in the world will get you leads and possibly sales. But if you've got a website that has if people go to your Facebook page and you've got nothing but bad reviews, you can't do a marketing campaign for that. I'm sorry, even I can't fix a bad business, which is systemic of a bigger problem.
Yeah. Okay, so again, what we're kind of trading onto is there needs to be consistency across all of your visibility as well. So the way in which you theme your social presence, the way in which your digital presence looks, the professionalism or the articulation, the communication, everything needs to almost be consistent to actually draw on. Because, as I say, we as consumers we have so much access available to us now in terms of to where we were 10, 15 years ago. As I say, radio and then TV and now smartphone. Even when you're in the radio, you were just, radio advertising was very one-dimensional. It's you're listening and you're built through the emotion. TV brought a sense of listening and viewing. But now, with the way in which our future is, our future technology is adapted, we're becoming more four-dimensional with our experiences. With the fact that you can go and research at a tap of a button, you can check reviews, you can see who else in your community has liked something in these respects. So when you're building campaigns for your clients now, or if I've got some of these audience people that are sitting here thinking, yeah, do you know what? I'm a company that I run events, or I'm a coach, or I'm a lot. As I say, a lot of people are service orientated in this kind of audience. What's the sort of top tips that you would give to them to build, a high impact campaign?
Again, it comes down to the offer every time. So, going through the process we started before, assuming we've done the research, that we know everything about it, we go down to mapping, go down what I call the second stage. So, research, mapping, build, traffic, scale. That's my 5 stages.
So, repeat those again.
Stage,
so, I'm going to put them up on the...
Research.
Research, hold on.
Research.
I'm writing them. Research.
Mapping. Build.
Mapping, build. Yep.
Traffic.
Yep.
And scale.
Traffic. And then scale. Alright. Talk us through that, my dear friend.
Research we've already discussed, so I'm going to phase over now.
Yeah.
The mapping stage is where you take all your research and map a sales process that takes the fastest, most effective process to get your prospect to a sale.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that could be one, or that could be multiple processes. So you might find a longer process actually gets you better results. So it could be a webinar type funnel, or it could be a straight to consult. It's again, you've got within your market, you're going to have different people with different awareness of your product or service that are more likely to take action straight away. So
you've got to kind of cater for both, don't you? You've got those that want to just jump right into those that need to be schmoozed all the way through, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the ones that you can jump in straight away, that's your hot markets, your easy wins. So you want to take advantage of those easy wins first. But that market is going to be very limited. So you need to start expanding it to people who don't know who you are, people who aren't, maybe people who aren't really entirely sure they've got a problem yet. So you need to agitate that issue and say, look, is this going on for you? Is this something you're having a problem with?
Yeah, so it's kind of asking the questions to agitate it through. Sometimes it's the unknown, the unconscious. I didn't realize I had a problem, but thanks for showing me. Now what do I do about it, kind of thing. Okay.
I think a lot of business owners might get squeamish about this. They find it might be manipulative.
Yeah.
The fact is, if you are helping someone in a genuine way, it's your duty to bring it up for them. It's your duty to take them through a process, say, I can make your life better. I can help you. We can improve upon your current situation.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's where I view it. I mean, most of what we buy and most of what we get in life isn't really a core need. It's something we want, but in order to get people to that position, in order to get to position, you need to bring up those emotions. I mean, we buy an emotional reasons.
Absolutely. I totally concur, and we'll move on to build in a second. But just on that point, it's one of the things that I tell a lot of people is that customers know what they want. Okay, we've gone away from the days that customers don't know what they want. We haven't got Henry Ford days anymore, where it's like if I ask customers what they want, they'll ask for faster horses and all that kind of stuff. We're a much more educated bunch of people because of the access to the information that we have more choices, all this kind of stuff. We know what we want. I've always believed that it's a business's responsibility to give people what they need. So really it's not, people may say I want this, but actually it's our responsibility to say, well, I understand you want this, but this is actually what you need. And that's how sort of you produce a better, stronger value proposition. You produce a much more effective relationship between the customer and the buyer and the seller in that respect, and you can actually move customers from exceeding their expectations to becoming fans. So it's interesting where you say most of what we do is we buy what we want, not really what we need. And I suppose yeah. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
You brought up 2 points there, like people know what they want, they're more assertive about it, but on the flip side, not everyone really isn't 100% sure. They think they know what they want, but if you dig deeper, there's underlying stuff below that.
Beautiful.
I want to fix my teeth. No, you don't want to fix your teeth, you want to increase your confidence. That's what you actually want.
So it's in the listening as well, isn't it? It's in the listening of that as well. I love that part of it, and I'm so pleased you bring that part of it up, in the fact that sometimes the want is masking something completely different in terms of where it goes. That is fantastic. So
external motivations and internal motivations. So you got to dig deep below the surface. So why are you doing this stuff? Is it because you want to do this? Okay, that's your surface answer. Then you get a little bit deeper. So why do you want to do that? Yeah. It's the why. Digging to the core reason. Like, okay, that's what you want. I need to hit on that point. If I answer this one, it's very superficial. You're like, yeah. This guy does that too. This guy does it too.
You get deeper into the point. Yeah. It's almost as if you've then pushed the first domino in a chain, and it goes bang, 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 bang. All it kind of sequentially sort of rises to the top. So we are talking about, in this area of realization, proposition, valuation, and then customer satisfaction in that as well, because it is about exceeding expectation. So look, we talked about research already. We already know about, know your customer, know your market, understand the problem. You've given us this kind of thing where you now need to blueprint and map the processes of your sales whether it's a jump one hit, or is it a trigger of webinars or oozing or smoozing or whatever it is, stimulating, educating that you need to do to get them to that
whatever
point.
it is it takes them from the contact through to a sale.
To a sale, right. So tell us more about the build part of this process now.
Build just gets down to the nitty gritty. So writing the copy that actually we've for the steps we've outlined. So writing the ads, writing the pages, writing any communication that goes along on that funnel. I hate the word funnel because it's just cliche, but
don't use it. Use it something else.
Well, the industry.
Let's call it
sales
tube.
Process. Let's call it tube.
Tube.
The London tube.
Yeah. So it's the.
Other than it's writing the physical elements of it, writing the copy, creating the pages themselves, creating designs, integrating it between whatever technologies you need.
Okay.
Just basically creating it so you can send traffic to it, basically.
Okay.
You can create ads.
So again, I think one of the things that I want to kind of ask here is, I'm a very visual person. I need to see the processes run along. So as you're building, you should say, right, okay, we're going to have an email sequence here, and then we're going to have this drop here, and then we're going to have this little offer here. It needs to be drawn out in a map so I can see the flow. And I know a lot of that is in your mapping, but it's very important for me from a building perspective, because writing email sequences and the copy, it's not something that you can just do off the cuff, because people write in such a particular way. They try to write the way they speak, and it doesn't come out right. Now, I don't think today's kind of session with you is to go into writing copy, but do you have one or two tips very, very quickly on putting copy together when you're doing things like email sequences?
I do. I'm not sure I can say, but don't be a moron.
Do it. Just say how it is. This is a League of Disruptors. You can
Don't
say
be a moron. Don't be a moron. Like, I read copy, I'm like, I can't believe you actually just said that. What on earth possessed you to say that to your customer?
So just saying that, not being a moron. So let's say someone wrote out their copy. Is it good for them to then just read it out aloud? Maybe read it out aloud. Maybe record it off their phone so they can read it back to them, so it says, "Wow, this is what it sounds like." Because obviously you can send test emails to yourself, but most people don't read the text. They just, it works and it looks okay, so let's send it.
Read it out loud. Don't be a corporate idiot. Like talking, we are the world's best. Blah blah blah. No one cares. Speak to them like a human being.
All right. Love it. Speak to them like a human being. Speak the way you want to be spoken to, right?
Speak the way you want to be spoken to if you were them.
Okay.
It's the way put it this way. If I'm dealing with a female market, I wouldn't want to be spoken to the way I'd like to be spoken to. But I need to speak in a way that resonates with that market.
Yeah.
So I need to speak their language.
But that's where that comes from your research, obviously.
That's where the research
comes in.
That's why we keep going back to the research.
Of course, it's always going to be research. It's paramount. Okay. Kind of moving it on into traffic and then scale. So you've got
traffic.
Your yeah.
Okay, so we've got our processes down, our sales processes. Whether it's one or whether it's two, we're not sure yet. Traffic is when we start actually testing the offers, so so we get validation of whether what we're doing is correct or not. So in the traffic, you'll see if it's converting or it's not, and you get immediate feedback from the market. So ultimately in any business, your marketing, your idea doesn't mean crap if the market doesn't respond to it. And with what we have now in terms of being able to send immediate traffic via Facebook, via AdWords, via all these different sources of traffic, we get immediate feedback directly from the market. So you work out, is this working or where is it breaking down? Then once you work out where it's breaking down, you do your best to fix that. And if it's an offer problem, then you might have to go back to the drawing board and say, well, what did I miss in the offer? Did I not get the core problem, or should I be focusing on a different problem? Is it a different funnel process I should be working on?
Okay, and I was going to just actually add into that. What is your advice on making sort of lever changes, so small changes in dynamics as opposed to a big dramatic change. Because obviously, you've said there you've got to measure in terms of the open rates, the amount of people that respond, click through, get on to wherever they are, and more importantly,
80/20. What are you going to make the biggest changes? So 80/20 headline and subhead, that's your biggest changes normally, and your offer. Like if that's all you had on your page, that's what you focus on. And then you'll at least get them into your sales process. And if you get the details from them, it's a lot easier to follow them up or nurture them down the line.
Okay. And then from a traffic generating strategy, I've heard in the past it's fundamentally right to, or better to just get your email communications out sort of pre 9 a.m. so people have got it in. Now I know there's part of your answer is going to say it depends what kind of product or service you have to what your customer's going to be going, but do you find that there are, generally there's an optimum sort of time that these type of communications should be going out to your customer base?
There is, and it depends on your customer though.
See, I knew that.
It's very different to everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But in pockets, I mean, obviously there are certain things. If you had, let's say for example, what type of service or product would you get marketing out before 9 o'clock in the morning? Just let's do that as an example.
Let's do very specific. What business are we talking about?
Well, it could be let's take something like mine: training development, or coaching and mentoring.
Who are your customers?
Could be business owners, and would be, should be, and could be entrepreneurs.
Okay. What time do entrepreneurs generally check their emails?
They check their emails pretty much all the time, but. But I'm not going to.
When are they most focused and have the energy to actually read it?
Oh, definitely. I would probably say between 7 and 11 in the morning.
Okay, that's when you get out then.
Yeah, I know that. I'm trying to get you to. Ladies and gentlemen, all he's done is he's just taken me through the process of an interview. I want you to go back and re-listen to the questions he asked me, because that's exactly what you've got to do for yourself. Ask yourself those questions, because you'll come back and say, okay, it's this time around. And the reason I went through that embarrassing part is to help you guys get it right. See? The things that I do for you guys?
I like the spin.
Look, mate. Yeah.
Honestly, that's a lot of what I do. We'll sit back and we'll actually get real business and know what is it that you're trying to achieve, how are we trying to achieve it, and just what are we trying to do here?
Yeah.
Is it to get more sales? Is it to create consistency in your business?
Yeah.
If your goal is getting consistency, my market strategy might be different if it's just to get a influx of small customers. Like what products should we actually focus on? Because if you're looking for what creates the highest impact, the price value in your business, let's focus on that one. If you're looking for one that creates long-term revenue, let's focus on that. If it's a very specialized service or product that's a high value, let's focus our time and effort on that one and see what's going to get you the greatest return. And again, it depends on what stage the business is as well.
Absolutely. So I suppose what we're getting to, and scale, the scale part of it is naturally is get it right, get the process right, and then it's the multiplier effect in terms of what we're doing. But
either add new traffic sources, additional ad spend, or additional funnels.
Yeah.
Additional sources.
Yeah, no. That's, I totally get that. I think, look, with sort of time coming up and wrapping, I just want to see if there have been any sort of questions or comments that I needed to add up. I got Anthony Joyner saying nice, so that's cool. You got to check out Jos. You got to get Anthony Joyner on your shout outs. I think he's awesome from the US. Janet, Happy Banks, but wouldn't the shoemaker be able to repair Toms when they break? And if people haven't got shoes, they probably can't afford to buy them from the shoemaker, but they make them affordable to repair. Okay, Janet, I think Janet's kind of obviously referring to the whole Tom story that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Janet, really, I suppose what I'm trying to, I was trying to make a point on the basis that sometimes we create solutions.
We create issues without realizing.
Precisely, that's what we look at. But here is an opportunity on an opportunity, and this is the kind of whole thing of capitalism in that sense. You know, you can capitalize on opportunities to create more and more stuff from there. Jos, I want you to really wrap up very, very intrinsically 5 tips that you would give for people that are actually going out tomorrow or next week and setting out their campaigns with this kind of expectation to get results back. We've just talked about research, mapping, build, and traffic as your 5 in that sense. But you know, if people are literally about to press the go button and launch, and now after listening to this thinking, "Ooh, I'm still not sure," what are the 5 things that they should go back and look at first?
Again, everything I've said is, again, my market is probably more sophisticated. Normally, they generally have some sort of track record behind them.
Yeah.
For the simplest way possible, what I do is find out what your market wants, how we can get to them, and how you can sell to them. That's the simplest way you can really boil this down. So even if you're a startup, you can find those things out. Who is your market? What are you actually doing for them? Like, get real with this. Are you purely doing something tiny, or how are you impacting their lives? So understand what your value actually is.
Perfect.
Find out where they are and talk to them. Just start conversations. If you have enough conversations with your customers, you're going to start making business happen.
Beautiful.
I think some business owners are just scared to get themselves out there because they're not sure of their value. They're still humming and hawing. Do I need to get the sales process right? Do I need to get my Facebook page right? Oh, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about that. Just get out there and talk to the people. If what you do is valuable, they're going to buy.
And if you're missing something, you're going to be able to see that you're missing it there and then, which allows you to go and improve the lever. Listen, that is such simple, such effective, but and such sort of result-orientated advice there. Jos, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out at 7 o'clock in the morning, well, it's 8 o'clock in the morning now for you there, to come online. I really, really appreciate everything that you've given in there. Is there anything you would like to share with our audiences that you'd like to promote, or if there's anything, do you have your own show that they can come on and check out?
I have my own show. I had this Ketan guy on it recently. I think it was cool. It was a bit weird, but it's cool.
Yeah.
You guys.
Do you know what? The one thing I have to say, I know you're not dress coded, but actually we're not far off. I've got purple. I've got maroon on. Have you got maroon on? The last time we were together,
I've got a maroon sweater on today.
Did you see any one of you that are watching this tonight, that were watching the interview that I did with Pawinder Dale earlier today? I said my brother from another mother is going to be coming online today. Tell me, guys, do we kind of look alike a little bit? We seem to get the colour thing going on all the time. It's just telepathic. I don't know what it is. Trust me, there's no messages going on what we're going to wear when we're on screen. But Jos, where can people find you? Facebook? Are you on Twitter and stuff like that?
Best place to find me for press conversation is Facebook /Jos Aguiar or /I am Jos Aguiar.
Okay.
And my website, which is iamjosaguiar.com.
Yeah, we'll stick all of those up on the live feed as well. I saw the other day you were doing one on how to put subtitles into your videos and stuff like that.
What is crazy about that, man? That's almost had more likes, comments, and shares than a lot of these interviews, which I guess you and I will sit through it because we find so much value in listening to these people who've had the experience, and it's like a 3 impromptu video. I'm like, okay, I'll do a quick video just because I'm doing it at the moment, and just share it with people. Like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. This is how it works. And it's had a ridiculous amount of comments. I understand it, but I think so many business owners deal with things that don't matter. Like subtitles for videos, it does not matter. People pay someone to do that.
So guys, if you wanna learn how to put subtitles onto your videos, make sure you go and check out Jos's page and his videos there. Check him out on iamjosaguiar.com. There's loads of stuff that Jos is doing.
There is a lesson in that. There is a lesson in that. sometimes you need to put out shiny objects that bring people into your process.
I like that.
Then take them into what actually matters.
Well, there you go. It's attract and then go in for the kill, basically. So, no, I really enjoyed having you on, and thank you for having me on your show as well. For everyone that's watching as well, without this guy here, I wouldn't be doing any of this here. He's the one that's actually showed me and taught me how to do this as well. So he is a genius. So if you're going to keep asking me how do I do this, don't ask him. All right, listen. Have a great thanks, man. Have a great morning, and we'll have a great evening. Thanks a lot, Jos, for your time. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Cheers.
Bye.